Hi, this is Chris from DS6 Machina, and I'm with
Dave from Rampant Wolf Games.
And we're talking about our top 100 games of all time in our humble opinion. I am in our humble opinion. And
I'm not humble.
Are going from 50 to 41.
Correct.
Closing in. Oh, there's going to be some interesting titles on these lists coming up. I don't think I agree with anything else I've seen online. Yep, it's going to be a very unusual list. There are going to be some things you do recognize, but, maybe not.
This is actually, it's funny, a lot of my favorite games end up in this core area.
I have a lot of unusual choices and one ironic because I have two titles that are part of the same franchise. Very different games, but same franchise. I just, by coincidence, they both ended up on the same list. I didn't notice that until now. That's cool. All right, let's get this going with number 50. Oh, I got him again! That's 3 for 3. Spice it up. My number 50, we talked about it in a previous video. I'll get it out of the way. I did not separate this series. This is actually pretty close to what I mean. I'll use when you mentioned it earlier as a coincidence, as a common ground, even though I don't list that game generally, and that is the legendary games. Legendary encounters are
Legendary Encounters is better than Legendary, though.
Yes, which is the reason why I'm putting Legendary Encounters here. Yep. Now, that being said, if you have the basic Legendary, it's not a bad game. The Marvel Legendary is a very, very good game. I do enjoy it. We do play it full cooperative. We don't play it competitive. It is super, super fun. I love the fact that every mission takes that same board and does something very different and unique with it, which I really, really like. And then, of course, of all these offshoots, you have the Firefly, the Predator, and
yes.
Was there a Buffy one?
Yes,
Alien.
There's X-Files.
The only other one, like I said, the only one that's really good out of that list is Alien. Because it does something very specific. Cards are face down, fully cooperative, so there's no competitive element. But that being said, I do think the base legendary game, which is what Will Wheaton played, is more approachable, slightly easier if you play it full cooperatively. And I think aesthetically it might be more appealing just because, and there's also way more expansions. All the expansions for Legendary are not for the encounters. All the expansions, except what? There is an Alien expansion.
Yeah, the Queen.
The Queen one. But most of the other games didn't get expansions. But the Legendary Marvel game has all the expansions. And some of them are really good. We have a couple expansions. And they're fun, yeah. So whether it be encounters or basic, I think the Legendary series is pretty good. And that's my number 50.
All right. My number 50, probably most people haven't heard of. And if they have, I'll be surprised. Which is really a disservice to this game because it is a really good game. Now, the only reason that people may have heard of this game recently is because they just did a definitive edition, or I think that's what they called it. I can't remember. It's good. I don't have it yet. It's supposed to be arriving, but thanks to COVID, it's kind of been delayed, which is Agents of Smersh.
You love this game. You
do.
Cannot stop talking about Agents of Smersh. Like the only person in my entire life that talks about Agents of Smersh is you, and as a result, you won't shut up about it. I really have to see this game.
Yep, you do. You've got to play it. It's heavily narrative, choose your own adventure. It's amazing. It's you play basically Bond, trying to defeat a villain, but it's just. It's so much fun. The expansions made it a little not so much fun, so the Australian Outback one, play with or without, depends. But yeah, so that's my number 50, Agents of Smersh.
Which is weird too, because Agents of Smersh is part of a list of games that you mention all the time, and so I remember it. But when I mention a game that I've mentioned a lot of times, you're like, I don't know this game. I'm like, come on, I've talked about it like 3 or 4 times.
Bad memory.
Bad. My number 49, what the hell, I'll tell the story. So, my wife and I are doing a book tour for my Ultramodern. We're going through Vancouver, going to different stores, and one store decided wanted a couple games. We went to drop them off, and they had a game on display, which Nicole completely fell in love with. She's like, oh, I love this game. And I looked at the price and went, maybe not. But she liked the mechanics so much so that we bought a couple other games that have the same similar mechanic. But it was always a game she wanted. Even though she hadn't played it, she liked the idea. And oddly enough, when playing it, it's a pretty good game. It's the best from this guy, and he's made a lot of games. This is the best of that series. Mm-hmm. But it is very busy, and it takes you a very, very long to play. It is a very long.
This has got to be Root or Elder or
older than that, my friend. And to tell him this, as he figures it out, she wanted the game so bad. I put the engagement ring inside the box, and then shrink wrapped it and had her unwrap it, and that's how I proposed. So that game will always have a place in my heart. And yes, he knows what it is now. It's Feast for Odin, one of my wife's favorite games, even though she's only played it like 3 times. Because like many games, it's like, I'm gonna bring out Feast for Odin. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Because it's a very, very big game. It's almost... We've played the game let's say 4 times. Mm-hmm. And part of that game is that there's this big, huge tetrahedral map, which is your area. And then off to the side, there are these other things you can claim, islands and other things. Have you ever gone onto an island?
I've never played the game.
Okay, because I've played the game 3 times. And the thing is, when you collect an island, it's just like your main board, which has tons and tons of these -1 point modifiers. The whole point is to cover them with the tetrahedral pieces, the Tetris pieces, and so you reduce the penalty as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And if you really play your cards right, you get a lot of supplies. If you get too many, then you want to get another one, which has a big point. But if you don't cover up the -1s on that, it ends up being a detriment. Mm-hmm. I have never played the game to such an extent where any of us could claim one of those islands to start filling them up. And I don't know how people do it. I'm sure there's somebody out there just like, do it this way, and then you can easily fill up your core map and at least one other island. I'm like, then you, sir, are God, because I never could. But that is number 49, Feast for Odin.
All right, my number 49 is a game that holds a special place in my heart. It's sad that it's at 49, but that's okay. Partially because it devolved into a drunken argument for asking the one person to explain how his reasoning was behind the one thing that he chose. And it was so convoluted. It made us laugh. There's video of it somewhere.
Yep, I saw it. I still stand by my point. I don't know how he pretzeled himself to make that final judgment.
You weren't the only one that couldn't understand it either.
We were all freaking out. I was just vocalizing it in a semi-intelligent fashion that made everyone lose their shit.
Oh my god. And that is Deception Murder in Hong Kong. I had so much fun with that game. Yeah, I bought the expansion.
I still haven't played the version Sarah sold me. Because she bought an extra one, so I bought the extra copy off her.
Oh, wow.
And
you need enough people to play it, right?
Yeah, and there's been a couple situations in the last 2 years where we have. I just haven't had the situation to do that.
All right, so that's my number 49, Deception Murder in Hong Kong.
So number 48... Number 48 is a title you have mentioned.
Okay.
But it's much, much higher on your list. As I love this game. And I understand it's difficult. I appreciate that this game has little things you can do to make the game easier. We do that because we like to win at games and not just bang our heads at it. And there's also strategies you can perform that make the game easier, although you may not think it. And this is an example we're talking about a game where you start it and you're like, well, let's go easy at first. No. If you go easy, you're dead. If you go in believing that time is running out, believing your supplies are rationed when they're not, then you have a chance. That's Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, yes.
Because Robinson Crusoe loves to fool you. Because you have 2 action discs. If you put both action discs on an action, you get that action. You don't have to roll for success. If you put 1 action on it, you have to roll the dice. And the dice have... in most of the situations, about a 70% chance of victory. So the odds are in your favor. But even if you fail, you'll get 2 little bonuses that you can then use to mitigate another check down the road. But if you want this game to win, it's very rare where you can actually put the 2 action pieces down on one space to assure yourself. Down near the end of the game, where it's like, okay, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm going to play it safe because if we do this 1 or 2 things, then we've got it. Mm-hmm. So let's not dance with the devil. Let's just do it. But when we're beginning, we're always taking risks because we want to get everything made that we want to make, get the shelter made and so forth. And I think that's the reason why, from our perspective, we seem to do better. Because every single time I've seen people die this game, they say, I can't win this game. I'm always like, do you play from turn 1 knowing that you're screwed?
Yeah.
If you go in pretending it's near the end of the game and you act like taking risks, you realize time's running out, you have a decent possibility of making it through that game. The adventure, yeah, there are certain things that are a little flawed about it. You have a crisis, you got to slip it into the event deck, but you know perfectly well when that event's coming up because it's a different color than the other cards. So if you shuffle it, you can go like, okay, I'll just put that there for now. So it's amazing that the consequences don't show up until the last 2 or 3 days of the game. But yeah, there's a bunch of expansions. We do like it a lot. Robinson Crusoe, Adventures on the Cursed Island.
Cool. All right, my number 48 is an entry into this list that I've talked about in other videos, pretty sure. When I play this game, it feels different from other ones that are out there. I feel like the subject matter, up until possibly Horrified, was kind of left to languor in the dark. I don't languish in the dark.
Languish.
Languor.
I think
linger and languish.
That's not a word.
It's the
linger
word now.
and languish. Both
Linger in the dark. And that is the actual supernatural thing like Wendigos and Krampus and ghost ships and stuff like that. And this is Touch of Evil, the supernatural game. It is basically, I almost want to say Arkham Horror Supernatural, but it's not. But it's almost like supernatural.
Well, Arkham Horror is supernatural.
But like when I say supernatural, I mean like the Dean and Winchester and
the show
Supernatural, because it literally deals with all the supernatural. What are those called? Urban legends type kind of things, you know. But you're also set back in like colonial times, right? You know, where your weapon is a ball and powder musket type kind of thing. So it's very interesting to deal with vampires when you're trying to deal with town criers and stuff like, you know. Imagine being stuck in the Headless Horseman era and then dealing with a Wendigo.
Makes sense.
It's so weird, but it works, and the only thing that I think that makes this game suffer is that, again, they did it with live action photos.
Oh, they did the
yeah.
Not a fan of that.
And that's Touch of Evil, the supernatural game.
Speaking of supernatural, for number 47, my game, this is the only, I think, miniature forward game on this list. And I always say miniature forward is not a game with miniatures, because there's lots of games with miniatures. It's a game where the game is defined by its miniatures more than its gameplay, when the vast majority of the box is taken up by minis. This game has minis for everything. Tracking, movement, minis. Monsters, minis. Spawn, minis. Rank and file, minis. Everything.
I'm going to guess this is Hellboy.
This is Hellboy. And I realized when I got it, like, why did I get this game? Like, I'm never going to paint 100 models. This is crazy. Like, why did I spend $140 for this game? And then I played it and went, thank God this game doesn't suck. It's got two things about it from a cooperative standpoint that I like. One, it's not difficult. And it's not difficult because, and as some of my friends have said when they played it, it's one of the few games where you play a character that actually feels powerful. Mm-hmm. You get whittled down by spawn and then by a big boss that usually is gigantic that comes at the end. But because of what you do, because of who you are, you feel powerful, right? One guy, you know, there's all the characters from the comic. I played Hellboy the last 2 times. And one of my friends played, there's one guy who's a real good fist fighter. And I literally said in the game after we won this one, he's like, I've never played a cooperative game where I actually felt beholden. I didn't feel as if everything was against us. We were always weaker than everybody else. Mm-hmm. This was a standard dungeon romp where you actually were good. And there's a strategy involved, but I enjoy it. It has escalating dice, which is something I played with as mechanics as well. And it's straightforward. It's easy. Mm-hmm. Production quality is really, really good. It's one of my favorite games of that genre. So yeah, that's number 47, Hellboy. Newer game.
Cool. My number 47 is going to be a weird entry to you probably on this list. Partially because you've never played it and I never talk about it. Okay. Ever. But it's actually a decent game. It's actually not one that entered the collection because of me. It actually entered because of my wife. And that is Chai.
Well, I know this game. I know Chai, because you must have just gotten that in the last few months.
No, the original, not the high tea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the original chai.
Right.
I know it's gotten some bad press lately, but whatever. It's a really interesting game. It's a set collection, and combined mechanic. And if you like tea, it's fun for that little nod there. Holds a special place a little bit in my heart because it is made by Canadian designers, so that's kind of nice. Not enough of those out there, I find, but
Well, at least not ones out very many out there that you know are identify as Canadian.
yes, exactly, or do well.
Oh yeah, there's been a few Canadian companies that seem to do well, and I'm like, oh, you're Canadian. Like Plan 9 is Canadian.
Never heard of them.
Oh, they do Sentry.
Oh, Century Crossroads?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Never played.
I do believe they're Canadian. I thought Plan, or is it Plan B? Is it Plan B? Yeah, I think so. And I do believe they're, because I think Tom Basil has said he visited them in Toronto. I was like, oh, they're a Toronto-based company. They also made Planet.
So that's my number 47, Chai.
Number 46 is a pacemaker for the whole series, but I like this one better. It is, if you look at the original game, it's very old. I don't think it's as old as Alhambra, but it's a pretty old game. But I absolutely love it. It's a classic game, imitated and copied, to death. This is an official game by the same people, which is licensed. I love Castle Panic, but I like Star Trek Panic more. Star Trek Panic, it still has the same thing. It's still having a castle. You literally have a full version, a full cardboard Enterprise.
Not if you can have a 3D printer.
Yeah, but then you have to take it apart too, right? And you have to put the little fire things on them, indicating that they're damaged. The difference between this Castle Panic, of course, same thing. You have a castle in the center. Random monsters come around. You play cards to destroy them. And there's about a dozen games that play Bastion. There's a game called Orcs, which looks almost identical, but it's competitive. There are a lot of games that play around with this central tower defense. A lot of games use it. Star Trek Panic takes that same concept and makes it the Enterprise. You actually play as characters, which the other ones don't do, which gives you abilities.
I like the fact that you can move the ship and that actually...
You can literally shift locations of the ships and move around. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It hasn't been killed by expansions like the basic Castle Panic. But I haven't played any of the other Panics. I haven't played Munchkin Panic or anything like that. Or Zombies.
Yeah, I haven't played any of them.
But I like Castle Panic a lot. But now that we have Star Trek Panic, anytime we want to see Castle Panic, I go, let's play the Star Trek Panic instead.
Yeah.
Because it is a better game. And that is my number 46, Star Trek Panic from 2016, which is a place marker for all the Castle Panics, but that is the better one.
All right, my number 46 is by Mighty Box Games. I believe that's who it was. You realize the lighting's going to be off, eh?
So, we're fine.
All right, so
The
my
recording
number
machine is pretty good for that.
Yeah. My number 46 game is by Mighty Box Games, and they had an original, which I actually preferred the combat mechanic in the original over the combat mechanic in the second version of the game, but I like the story mechanic in the second version of the game, and that is Post-Human Saga.
Yeah, you talked about this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. I love how they've created the stories. You get sucked in to the content, and the only thing I found is that trying to always explain it to someone else, because when you're playing the game, you're in your own little world of the section of the world. You're never interacting with any of the other players on the table. Like you'll never encounter them anywhere else in the world. Even in the original, you never encounter them. You're always dealing with only what's in your little area and your journey. So it's like solo games played at the same time. So that I find kind of interesting. So that's my number 46, Post-Human Saga.
Yep. I still haven't seen this game.
I know, because you didn't win the copy. You know who? The person was selling it the other day.
Yeah, like I said, it's like the same thing. I just can't buy games at the moment. Number 45, I was just looking over my list. My number 45 is the best game that I've sold. It's out of my collection. And you would think, and I'm looking at it, it's like, no, every one of these games I still own in my collection because I love them. But my wife doesn't love this game, so that it got removed, which is too bad because I played it, and then she's like, "Oh, we'll probably put it on a sale pile. We got to play it one more time." Like, okay, play it one more time. Well, I still like this game. This is actually a really good game. I like what it does. But she was just like, "Yeah, but it's just not for me." Like, okay, fine. And we got rid of it, which is too bad. It's called Ulm.
Never heard of it.
I hadn't heard it either. I bought it used. It is a Euro game, but it has some wicked cool mechanics. First of all, you have your meeple is just a boat on this river. The river bisects the bottom part of the board, and then everything else is divided. It's all in Germany. It's a real place, but it's divided up. It's like a medieval 18th, 19th century, and it's just segmented up, and so you have access to certain actions as long as your boat's there. But that's not even the interesting mechanic. The interesting mechanic is this 3x3 grid of tokens. Right? And you got a pool of tokens. You have two in your hand at all times. And what you do is you push in on one side of this grid, either here, whatever direction. And when you push that out, you get this token now. That's now your token. And you complete those actions that are just that you pushed in. You get those lines. You get to do those 3 actions. So you have to be careful. Okay, it's like I want to do that, but I can't push that action because I'm going to lose it. So I got to push down, but Nicole's already done that action because she's already pushed a token out, and because she's pushed a token out, you can't move that one, so I have to move it this way. And and you can also claim certain rows. So if somebody uses that row, you get a bonus. And then as you do, and some of them are getting coins, getting specific characters, moving the boat, getting all these resources. And then you move the boat. And as you move the boat, you claim areas of that board. And so there's a benefit to staying still because you can claim more areas on that board and maximize resources. And then you have to move ahead because you'll get more points at the end game. And it's got a fixed 11 turnaround. There's literally a completely aesthetic 3D church, about 3 inches to 2.5 inches tall that you build that just stays there, just in the center of the board. And you take parts of the tiles off the roof to track movement. There's an advanced version. The manual's a bit wonky because it has a book that tells you how to play the game, and then a giant tomb that tells you what every single card tile does. That was very intimidating. Then I realized, no, you don't need that. Just have to, when you see the card, just go ahead and hit the reference. But I really love that mechanic, that 3x3 grid. I don't see any games that have ever done that, where you have 2 tokens to choose from. That one of those is going to be an action you're going to activate. You push this in, that pushes it out of the way, so now that one doesn't apply anymore. And now you've got these. Oh yeah, you put a token there. That's why you put a token to claim, like an action token. And then you move it, grab the tile, and so forth, and you activate those 3. And sometimes the way you interact with another player, because you're all using the same grid, I push that out and screws up the arrangement of tiles for Nicole in her turn. It's like, hey man, I wanted that action, and you've pushed it outside the grid. So yeah, I really like that mechanic. It's a neat idea. It's too bad we don't see that anymore, and I think that should be resurrected in another new game. That is all my number 45.
All right, my number 45.
Talked way too much for that one.
My number 45 is another entry into. Actually, I think it is a version of something we may have talked about before. I feel like we have. Nope, maybe not. I could have swore we talked about Descent. I guess we haven't. Have we talked about Descent?
Nope. I thought a previous title was a Descent and it was something else. So no, I don't think you've talked about Descent.
Huh. All right. Well, then this is going to be the first time I'm talking about something like this one. Then that's Star Wars Imperial Assault. Yeah.
Which is a game I really want to get, but it's in that category of really expensive.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely expensive.
Now that they got the app.
Yeah, the app does make it. It gives you other avenues to explore the game, play solo or play cooperative. You don't have to have someone who's playing as the Empire, etc., etc., etc.
I'm amazed the game ran for that long before they came out with that app.
Yeah, and also the Star Wars app is much better than the Descent app. There's just more to it.
Yeah. And they also learned from their Mansions of Madness, which uses the same kind of operating system.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my number 45, Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Yeah. I actually am interested in that game. My number 44, I think you've mentioned this. It is a die placement game, one of the best. It's one of the best gateway games you can get. It's called Sagrada.
Oh. I don't know if I've mentioned Sagrada.
You might have.
Yes, I did.
Yep.
It was my number 66.
Yep, and I'm way down at 44. Like I said, it is... it's not the best die place mechanic, and I've often said die placement is one of my favorite mechanics, but Sagrada is pretty as hell. It looks... I mean, it's just very aesthetically pleasing, and it's easy to learn. It's got a good, simple dice drafting mechanic, and it's very accessible. A lot of newbies can play it. It's, like I said, it's... We even have the extra expansion, too. But, like I said, I don't know why people keep on comparing it to Azul. It has nothing to do with Azul, but, you know. But it's a wonderful game. And not much to say. Wonderful game from 2017. That's Sagrada.
All right, my number 44 is a game that when I found out it was coming out, I was like, oh, yeah, I need that. And that's just because it was finally going to be something that was sci-fi. It hit on one of my favorite franchises, and the way they did it was great. And I mean, you could have supplanted this title with something like Star Trek Fleet Captains or Star Trek. Well, remember what the other one's called?
That's a game I want to play Fleet
It's Star Trek. Oh no, I've lost it. Star Trek Frontiers. Would be the other one that could also go here, but this one is Star Trek Ascendancy. The only reason this one is so far down the list is because Gale Force 9 says some of it right there. Just because they are notorious for doing things differently. They also released certain little bits and bobs to go with the game, and much like Firefly, they were limited runs of certain things. So it's like, well, I want to get the Cardassian space stations. Oh, well, they're not available yet. Okay, well, the Vulcans are coming out. Okay, cool. I'm gonna grab those. Are the space? I don't have enough ships. Well, we're gonna release in a ship pack. Okay, when is the ship pack coming out? So that kind of stuff just kind of, come on, give me more money. Give me more money. Yeah, that kind of killed it for me a little bit, but I love this game. You don't have to, it is 4X, but you do not have to exterminate to win. You can just expand and then exploit your area and then win by diplomacy. But if you're playing the Federation, you have to be diplomatic. If you're playing the Klingons, it's a good day to die. If you're playing the Romulans, time to backstab. It's you play to your strengths in that game. So that is my number 44, Star Trek Ascendancy.
Oh, Star Trek list. My number 43 is another cooperative game. That designer, I can't remember if he just had a new game that came out. And his name's escaping me. This game is called Legends of Andor.
Oh.
But, so yeah, Legends of Andor, he does his own artwork, he does his own game. Legends of Andor is a game that you have to understand what you're going to getting in. You're playing as the narrator, you're not playing as the character. The game is about telling the story in a short amount of time. It's not about killing monsters that get in your way.
His way. His way.
Or getting in any character's way.
No. His way.
What do you mean?
That's my one complaint about the Legends of Andor series.
Yeah.
There's very few ways to win the game. There's only really one way to win the game.
Well, there's some random elements to it, but yeah, there's one of those situations where it's a
puzzle.
Yeah, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle you have to figure out, and you have a timetable to do it. But once you realize, like, you look at a monster that's coming, and you go, okay, we just let this monster come into the castle. It won't matter. It's going to kill off a couple people. It won't kill off the game, and we will move past it to defeat the main villain. We don't have to do that. Because we look at the game and like, no. The game wins when this happens. It doesn't matter that half the monsters on the entire game are encroaching on the castle and we're nowhere near it. It doesn't matter. The game will be over by then. It's stuff like that. Now, oddly enough, despite my joy of having that game and Star Shield, although I've planned it, I've never gotten the 2 sequels. And I want to get them because I like the fact that they are a trilogy, right? And time passes. The characters look older in the second game. Mm-hmm. And they look like they're different despite having, a similar format and similar rules, but the map is very different. Legends of Andor number 2 is on water. This is an entry for the trilogy. I do enjoy the game, but it's definitely difficult if you don't know how to play it right. And that's 2012's Legend of Andor for number 43.
Cool. My number 43 is a game that is riddled with expansions that change the game, but at its core, the mechanics never really change. It's a game that I feel should be in the core games to get people started in board games, because really it's easy to teach, it's easy to play, it's quick. I can teach this game in honestly less than 5 minutes. Get the game rolling, people are having fun, and it will maybe last an hour. And that is Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
I used to love this game. My wife used to love this game. She made me, well, she didn't make me, but she wanted to collect all the expansions.
Yep, got 'em.
I started buying all the expansions for her, the submarine, the other ships, getting the dog. She wanted the dog. She wanted all the expansions. And that game broke our spirit to the point that now she doesn't want to play it anymore.
Broke your spirit.
Yeah, because the game is, it's such a dense machine.
Yeah.
Like, it takes the idea of pandemic and then just goes, you know what you need? Another layer of full pandemic interactivity. Like, take all the rules of pandemic, just double them, and make it that much harder. Because Flashpoint is I think we've won the game maybe twice. That being said, we've had some of the most hilarious moments in cooperative gaming with groups happen because of that game. I literally had somebody die like 3 times. And like their rolls were always like the single, like all you need to do is roll anything but a 6 and we're okay. And then she rolls a 6. Like there was a famous story that like one character, like literally she was a firefighter that just kept on dying. and we kept on bringing another character, and she kept on dying. She died like 3 times. Of course, we lost that one. We did a submarine one. We got ass kicked on that one. I think we've only finished the game maybe twice. And then Nicole one time whipped out and started playing the game over and over and over, and she was getting more and more frustrated because nothing she could do could make her win the game. And so eventually she got frustrated because it's a game that takes like 40 minutes to set up. There's so much setup time for a game that's that small.
Really? 40 minutes? I can do it in like 10 minutes.
It's a long game. It's a long game to set up. Huh. But go on, you keep talking. I monopolize that conversation.
No, that's fine. But yeah, I enjoy it. I disagree on the setup time, but that's probably because I have the big organizer and everything. So. But, that's my number 43, Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
Yeah, she hasn't put it on the sale pile officially yet, but I predict sometime this year she's going to, which would be a hell of a thing, because we literally have all the expansions.
Yep.
So you guys like, someone wants Flashpoint Fire Rescue, the whole series.
I have it right there, and it's in a wooden box.
Yeah, we don't have a wooden box, but we have everything else, which makes it a pain in the ass to store. My number 42 is the opposite of that game because it's competitive, not cooperative. It takes 5 minutes to set up, and it's a very, very simple game to play. It is the only bag builder that I have, and it's also the only good bag builder that I've played.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's not going to be that one. You know it's not going to be. It can't be that one. No, it's Altiplano. Altiplano is a bag builder that does the bag building correctly. Like, you take 5 tokens, you move them out, and you leave them there. And they stay there. And if you use them, they go into this little cardboard barrel, little bucket. And then, so when you use them and then they're used up, they go there and you grab more. And when you can't put any more, then you put that in. So it's not a situation where you take 3 out, put them back in, mix it, and take 3 more out, just like you're just making things worse. It's a situation where you lay down and then you move these tokens to your board or other places, and then you have a meeple. I like the fact that it's a random assortment of locations and you can move left or right and do actions. There's an expansion that actually does make the game better, but it's a simple point salad, moving things in order to do things, and there's a little bit of interaction, but it's a simple game. It's very inexpensive. I think it's under $40. It's got the most adorable single-player marker. It's a giant, not a llama, it's that other thing that looks like a llama, but it's like that big. It's a hell of a thing. I do enjoy quite a bit. And that's number 42, Altiplano. It's a bag builder. And like I said, I'm not a fan of bag builders because obviously we played a very bad bag builder. There's a game that did it worse and badly. And if you want to do it well, you look at Altiplano. It's like, why didn't you just do what they did? Like, why did you have to make it more difficult to make it stupid? Altiplano does it well.
Which brings me to my number 42, which sometimes when they make things too difficult and make it stupid, this game requires definitely at least 3 people to play it. It is technically very heavy. Technically very heavy.
It's heavily very technical.
It is very technical. Trying to find the right people to play this game with is very hard because it is a very niche topic. But you need the right people to play this game, otherwise you just die. And that is U-Boot, the board game.
Oh, geez, really?
Yep.
We were talking about this game last week because we own it and we haven't played it yet.
Oh, it is great.
You have to read a freaking thesis in order to play it. But we want to play it. Like, our group wants to play it badly.
Yeah. It is really good. I really enjoy it. The only problem that ends up happening is there's a few rules that I would change, and you really need your navigator to be on their game. If they are not, you will lose this game easily, because the navigator has to be able to tell the captain where you are, and if you can't, then you can't line up torpedoes, you can't line up your missions, you can't do anything. And if your navigator sucks, your entire game is done. So, and that is U-Boot, the board game.
I've not played that game with you. I've played the other one, but yeah, we have the submarine built. It's been on display for a year. Because I got the game at the Vancouver show, and that was 2 years ago.
Yep.
Almost 2 years ago this month, actually, recording it, because it was a Vancouver Comic-Con, and the world shut down right after that, so it wasn't last year. So we've had it for 2 years, and we still haven't played it.
That's unfortunate. All right.
Liking the streak. My number 41, like I said, it's going to be very interesting because we've talked about this franchise now twice, and I'm going to mention it a third time on just this very list. And I know it's going to be on your list at one point. It's the game that seemingly only you and I like because no one else seems to like it. The company doesn't make it anymore. A lot of people who review it don't care for it. And yet, right up there with Roll for It and a lot of other games, it's one of those games that's like, what do you want to play? Well, we don't know what to play. We take this game and we play it because it is one of the best cooperative die placement games out there. It does mitigation properly. It does almost everything. There's only one or two tidbits. It has a real-time element we try to avoid. It's a great game, and I know you like it as well. It is...
Dice Hospital?
No, I haven't played Dice Hospital. Star Trek 5-Year Mission.
Oh, yes, this one is a good one.
Yeah. Like I said, Will Wheaton played it, and they got their butt kicked. We can't lose this game. We've played it. We've gotten our strategies down perfectly. I can be a piece of shit playing it though, because when we get near the end, I'll start being very bossy and alpha like. So I have to fight my urge to go no. So let it happen. Like, the funny thing is, we don't play, like, we can't lose the game because we don't play to lose. The way the game is that the difficulty is based on how far you get before you just stop playing.
Yeah.
So if you get to like 15 completed missions, you're a lieutenant rank. If you get to 21, you're like an admiral rank, which is the best one.
Yeah.
Right? And for some reason it tells you, yeah, set it at the beginning. I go, don't bother. Just play the game, and where you end up is your score.
Yep.
So you don't feel as if you have to lose or win. I mean, we have played the game and gotten to a lieutenant rank once, which was like we barely got anything. But then there were times where we not only got past admiral, we just keep playing. And we'll burn through it. And there's always a time, there's a point where mathematically you can't win. Mm-hmm. But we've gotten to 30 cards. Like admiral, which is the highest rank, is like 24 cards.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to plus 30. And by then, all of the blue cards are gone, most of the yellow cards are gone, and all you have are red. So just mathematically, you're not going to be able to get these done, and eventually you lose. And it's always disappointing, but I'm like, we got 31 cards. Like, we are way, way above the line. So it's a game that you have fun, you never lose. It's fun. The graphic, yeah, it's like $39. The production quality is junk. But if you like Star Trek, and also, and this is the strangest thing, if you want an easier game, play with the old series. For some, I don't know why, They don't say it. They don't say it officially.
Yep.
But the TNG side, which is the opposite side of the boards, are for some reason way more difficult. And it's actually really cool because when we talked about this game when we were on our book tour, one guy said, "Yeah, you want some bits for it?" Like, what do you mean? And then like there was a promotion that only a couple of game
7
stores.
of 9 or something. Or?
No. It was Yeoman Rand and Will Wheaton.
Yes.
And if it was the Crusher, so it was additional character that was only, and so because sometimes Cole and I we will play with all the characters. I will play with 2 people. She'll play with 2 people. And if you get the Yeoman Rand Wesley Crusher, you can actually play with 3 people each. He is, like I said, both of them have broken abilities though. Like they're a promotion for a reason. They didn't want this in the game because it's way too powerful. But it's hella fun.
Yeah.
And we enjoy playing it. Like I said, the original series is just an easier game. We usually go with that one. And the only time we ever did badly was playing with the TNG route. But yeah, Star Trek 5-Year Mission. Stop bitching about this game, folks. I don't know where the hate came out of. I know Tom doesn't like it. The production quality is crap, but it costs $35. It's just uses photos, but it's Star Trek. Basic dice, in and out, done. Setup takes 30 seconds. Play through in a couple hours. It's a great gateway game.
Yep.
Needs more love. Star Trek 5-Year Mission. We've talked about this to death because we both like this game.
Yep. All right, my number 41.
If it's Star Trek 5-Year Mission, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
Nope, I don't think Star Trek 5-Year Mission's actually on my list, which is kind of sad.
I love that game.
I know. I don't know why it's not there, but this one, it feels like it's poignant, especially at the time of this recording, and that is Pandemic: The Cure.
Well, it's the only Pandemic on my list, so you know I approve.
Yeah.
He's like, he goes, what's the best Pandemic game? Is it the 2 legacy games that everyone says are the greatest games of all time? No, it's the one game out of print that you're not going to get.
The Cure's out of print?
Oh, The Cure's been out of print I can't get it.
Oh,
I've had it on my wish list for like 4 years.
Yeah, no, I snapped it up a while ago.
I'm going to have to buy it on eBay now. At this point, it's impossible. Like they've lost all hope on this game. They're not supporting it.
No, Chaz Marler was just touting it, as the massive amount of dice that comes with it. And I was like, So yeah, you pay for it because it is a lot of dice. But yeah,
it's not of all the Pandemics, it's one of the more expensive ones, but it's still cheap in compared to modern gaming. Yeah,
and I enjoy this one because I can win Pandemic: The Cure non-stop. Like, I mean, I can.
Plus, it's also one of the few games that I don't get angry at the board actively for screwing us over. It's one of those games where, once again, as you said before, it's not a game you have a problem losing.
No, and it's the part that ends up happening with Pandemic: The Cure is just like, what dice you just put back in the bag. You pull them out, and it's just like, well,
we know what's coming.
We know what's coming, but we don't know where. Well, that was my roll. Yep, I screwed us. Like, it's not like where some bad shuffling just ends the game and outbreaks and blows up. And no, this is, you did a crappy roll, and that's that.
Yeah, but the thing about that game is, like, once again, a deck shuffle early, like the beginning of Pandemic, can spell doom if you don't know about it. Pandemic: The Cure, no matter how bad a turn is, it doesn't like, well, the game's over now, we might as well quit. No, it's just like, no, we had a setback. We can keep on playing. The game knows and is built so that we can have these setbacks and still win. Where in Pandemic, it's like a setback. We're like, well, can we just start over? Because there have been cooperative games. Yeah. Where we've played, Nicole and I were just like, let's stop this and start over. Because we're no longer having, this is not going to be fun playing it. Let's just restart. The Cure is just like, we don't know if we're going to win.
Yep. Exactly. So that was our 50
to 41.
50 to 41.
At this point, like I said, I have a couple little surprises, but the vast majority of my titles from here on are pretty well-known titles. Yep. But like I said, this would be a bunch of games that people haven't heard of, and a lot of games you're going to wonder, why isn't this on the list? I'm sorry. You're not going to find, what the hell is that, Twilight Struggle, which everyone always puts in their top 10 list. You're not going to find Twilight Struggle on my list. In fact, you won't even find Pandemic Legacies, and you will not find, what's the other game that everyone freaking loves?
Oh, Cosmic Encounters.
No, that Cosmic Encounter is not as loved as you might think. Just Tom loves it and won't shut up about it, but it's not that great a game. No, I was thinking of Twilight Imperium.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another game you're not going to find on my list.
I think Twilight Imperium is on my list, but I think I may have already said it.
I don't think
Pretty
so.
sure.
I don't think so. We'll have to check.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that was our number 41. Now we're into the 40s.
All
Had
right.
some fun with that one. So I've been Chris.
I've been Dave. Remember, the rules are just a suggestion.
Play the game the way you want to play it.
We're out of here.